Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Benton with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I say on every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have Sh'Kia Augustin with us today. She is an actress, writer, producer, and singer. She's best known for her recurring acting role as the voice of Shonda on the CW's Black Lightning, and she is set to appear in an upcoming episode of Atlanta alongside Donald Glover, which airs on September 15th.
And we're going to talk about that and then some more, maybe a sneak peek at something. But
yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Chris and Sandy. I'm happy to be here.
It's our pleasure. Awesome. I always like to start kind of same way. Last couple of years been rough for a lot of people, but especially in entertainment. So how have you kind of maneuvered through all this?
I think especially during the pandemic for actors, things slowed down as far as like auditioning, just because I think the industry was still just trying to figure out how to transition into more virtual auditions.
Yeah.
So really, I think I'm a little lucky because I don't just act and I write and also produce. It gave me more time to focus on other things because I think sometimes acting does take so much time. Auditioning and then being on set. So during the pandemic, I really had the opportunity to just write. Like when I'm just at home or, working from home, it's so much easier to write when there aren't any distractions and you don't have a ton of auditions. So during the pandemic, I was able to write my own web series. I produced it. I also starred in it. So during that time, it was more difficult to produce a web series because everybody was kind of afraid to come out. So the web series we shot ended up being a very small crew. Just my husband and I were producing it. But we kind of wrote to the time. So a lot of the scenes we wrote were more centered on, one or two characters a scene or just more intimate settings where we didn't have to go to that many locations. But on the plus side, because it was the pandemic, I think a lot of people were just a lot more generous. So we got to take advantage of just a lot of free locations. Like one of the scenes we had to shoot was in a hair salon, a hair store actually, which is usually very difficult to get. But because I guess, just nobody was doing that much shopping in person, we just emailed a hair store and they were like, yeah, sure, you can come here and shoot for 5 hours for free. So it was like, luckily, we were able to take advantage of it. But yeah, the times have just been really difficult for creatives. And I think also being creative, we find ways to, adjust and, roll with the punches and maintain that creativity. So I say sometimes during, tragic moments, it's where I think more creativity is born.
And you know what's crazy about all this, because we've talked with a lot of actors who have said this too, is although it's one thing that's helped with the pandemic is a lot of auditions are now done through Zoom.
Yeah.
And it's on one sense, that's great. But in a second sense, if you're in LA, instead of competing with everybody in LA, you're now competing with the world.
The entire world. Yeah, it's definitely gotten more competitive. But I think competition is healthy, and I think it just allows for the right person to get the opportunity. Because I think honestly, when the pandemic started, I was in Atlanta, so it was great for me because usually I wouldn't get to audition for jobs in Los Angeles as much because they wanted to keep it in Los Angeles. But once the pandemic opened, I got to meet casting directors in LA. Wow. I got to meet coaches in LA. I got to meet writers in LA. And the pandemic is the reason why I actually moved to Los Angeles, because in the process of meeting so many other people that were doing so many other things, I thought, there's so much more going on there that I can take advantage of.
Wow. Yeah, that's like for us, we launched this show January of 2020. So a couple months before everything got shut down. And our original plan was maybe 100 interviews first year. Thought if we could do that, be a great foundation. And then everything started to get shut down. I told Sandy, this may be a blessing for us if we take advantage of this, because a lot of people who normally wouldn't come on a brand new show might be willing to come on a brand new show. We just reached out to anybody and everybody, and we ended up doing over 300 interviews in 2020, and we're almost 600 now.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we took it and we ran, because we were like, you know what, this may never happen again, this type of opportunity, and let's hope it don't happen in that way anyway.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what, this opportunity for us may never happen again, so we just better just burn out if we have to, but go.
Yeah. That's how I felt shooting during the pandemic. It was like, what else am I gonna do? Just sit at home. I'm forced to stay at home. I might as well do something creative while I'm here. So taking advantage of the moment is it's smart, and it's healthy, really. It's like, find a way to stay active, because before I was writing the web series, I was literally on the news like every day, like trying to keep up with what's going on, and it really just started to overwhelm me. So I was like, I really need to pour my time and energy into something more creative than just CNN all day.
So, a lot of people, they see the glory in what you do, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it takes to get to any level within entertainment. And I always want to talk about that side of it, because it's glossed over a lot of times. Because a lot of people think, if you got a talent, you'll make it. But that, we both know that is not always, just so many things that have to line. So let's take a few moments and just tell us about some of the sacrifices you've had to make to get to where you are today.
Well, honestly, for one, sacrificing time with friends and family. I think when I was actually just talking to my husband about this, and after I recently filmed a drama series, I was reflecting on what I thought this would be like as a kid. And I was like, as a kid, I thought this was going to be a fantasy. I thought I was going to be like Cinderella, I just had this glamorous idea. And I like to look at things on like a macro level and a micro level. And like the macro idea is like, premieres and award shows and looking nice on the red carpet. But the micro level is like the day-to-day work that you have to do on a constant basis. It's like people see the podcast go up, but they don't know all the things you had to do to prepare for this, like interview questions and researching who you want to interview next and getting the word out. So I think as an actor,
and how many rejection emails we get a month?
Rejections, you have to become immune to rejections, and you almost have to like just tell yourself, I'm gonna get told no, and I have to almost ignore it. I have to find a way to look past the no's, and that's something I realized the older I got. And I think the older you get, the more realistic things become. When you're a kid, you're just dreaming. And then when you become an adult, you're like, I have bills to pay and I have to take care of myself. Like, dad isn't gonna.
And sometimes that becomes a negative, because sometimes then you got a lot of adults have got this passion in them that they've never pursued, because, I've got this responsibility. And I believe, just my opinion, that your kids will best benefit by seeing you chase your dream against all odds.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to just chasing your dreams, I think the best way I can put it is you just have to find a way to balance it all. Yep. And even when I first graduated college, I got a regular 9-to-5. I was working in corporate finance, but I always tried to find time to be creative. Yep. Like, I made that a priority. So I work 9-to-5, and then from 5 to 7, I'm at rehearsal for a play that I have on the weekends. Or sometimes my coworkers would be like, come out to happy hour with us. And I'm like, I can't, I have rehearsal, or I have class, or I have this writing workshop I'm doing, just so that I never felt like I was giving all of my time to this job to pay my bills. And a lot of the times, also a financial sacrifice. Hanging out with friends is expensive. Going on these trips with friends to, at the time, Los Angeles or the UK or anywhere you're going, it's expensive. So even sacrificing that and being like, I got this paycheck. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to, I'm going to pay my bills, but maybe you got to make it last. But maybe putting a certain amount of money aside to take a class, or to take a workshop with someone that can teach you something, or to shoot a short film, anything that kind of can help you balance your passion, because yeah, you do have to make money, and hopefully one day you will make money off of your dreams. But until then, you've got to find a way to balance. And also, one thing I've been focusing a lot on now is just my mental health, because like you said, the rejection really can start to get to you. So I always try to balance it. I made a promise to myself a couple of years ago that I was like, I'm going to always audition. I'm going to always put myself out there and ask, or put myself in the position to be chosen, but I'm always going to find a way to choose myself. So me shooting my web series and filming the web series and giving myself a role is a way of choosing myself. So at the end of the year, when I look at all the things I've done, I've done tons of auditions and I booked a few cool jobs, but I also shot this short film and I was the star of it. And for that one moment, I felt like a real actress,
And, like for us, same way with balancing, we created a show where we do it together. So, and then, to keep us afloat in the evenings, we deliver food and all that for people. So we do that together. So we, and that kind of pays our bills while we try to build this brand.
Yes. And I homeschool the little ones in the morning.
So you have to find a way to balance, but at the same time, not let you go so far this way to where you give up on your dreams either. There is a balance there, and as you grow, you may, again, some of that you will be out of balance for a temporary period. There's just no doubt about that, but it needs to be temporary. I've seen some people where they're out of balance in their life and marriage and all that for 5 years, 10 years. Well, that's going to be a problem eventually.
It's like you've got to find a way to, one thing I like doing is like at the beginning of every year and every month, setting intentions for the month so that I can have balance. And I feel like once you start to realize that you have to be intentional about it, it becomes so much more tangible, I think. So a lot of times we're just doing things and we're not necessarily really consciously thinking about the efforts we're putting in, and being like, oh, okay, on Sunday nights I'm gonna have date night with my husband, and on Tuesdays and Wednesdays I'm gonna write for 2 hours, and on these days I'm gonna walk my dog and teach him how to sit and teach him how to roll over. Just having the balance, an hour a day or 30 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day, I'm gonna take a walk and meditate. Like you have to, like I have these things.
The key is routine.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Routine is the perfect. It's the perfect word. Like I'm best friends with my calendar, because I just I'm like, what do I have to do today? I need moments of just, because to be creative, you do need moments of freedom. You need moments where you're not working, because that's where the ideas come. Some of my best ideas come when I'm taking a walk or in the shower or walking my dog. That's when some of the coolest ideas come to mind. So you do have to just create space to be able to just not always be working. So you have to kind of put that into it, but also being able to say no to certain things. And that goes back to just sacrifice. You can't always be everywhere for everybody. So sometimes you have to decide where and when you can put your energy into something, and being okay with saying no, being okay with not going to that party this week, but maybe next week go to the party. Just go to the party, because you might meet someone there. You might, your friend might tell you a great story that works for your short film, and you just never know. So
for us, one of the things that we do living here in Savannah, Georgia, to kind of help the marriage stay fresh and the family stay fresh is, once or twice a month, we'll shoot down to like either Jacksonville or Charleston for the day. It's only 2 hours. So you can shoot there, spend the day, just enjoy, and then come back that evening. And it really does help just to get it. Again, we could probably do the same thing in Savannah, but you know what? We want to get away. Even if it's for the day, you get away. And I think that really, we've been doing that for years now. And
we have many years.
And it's, in fact, kids, Sunday, now granted, we're going overnight this time, but Sunday we're going to Charleston for the night. And then next month for our 20th anniversary, we're shooting up to Nashville for a week. So we're excited about that.
Happy anniversary. Congrats.
Thank you.
We definitely appreciate that. But travel is our go-to. I mean, that's just, I mean,
sure.
Doing what we do. The great thing about what we do with our show is, I don't do shows when we travel, but I do create YouTube shorts and stuff like that so that it keeps my YouTube channel active. So when we are traveling, what do people like to see? Stuff when you travel. So YouTube shorts really work. So it's like a really creative process when we do go somewhere too still.
And, I think traveling is good. I haven't done as much traveling as I would like, but just this past weekend, I actually went to a writer's retreat in Palm Springs.
Oh, wow.
And I'm new to LA. So it's the perfect time to like go to different places. Like for Christmas, I went to San Diego, just trying to explore the lay of the land. But just being at that writer's retreat, it felt like a mental reset for me, just kind of being in a new place, being around new people. And we barely got any writing done because we were just connecting and building relationships. But it felt like, wow, the pandemic is still kind of going on and we're still kind of inside. So being able to get out and just kind of work with other people and talk with other people and just kind of be free is sometimes all you need to kind of just reset or feel refreshed, I'd say. And
especially when you talk to people doing what you do.
Oh yeah, that's
because I have like a handful of other podcasters that have their own shows that, we'll talk on the phone or we'll text back and forth.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get texts from they're ready to quit. I'll be texting, I'm ready to quit. And then we all talk each other out of it and stuff.
A community is so important when you're doing things creative. We were talking about it at the writers retreat, and I was talking about just writing a script, and I was like, sometimes I feel crazy because nobody's asking me to do this. Like, nobody's like, Chris and Sandy, make sure you do that podcast. Make sure you film. Like, nobody's telling you have to like have the discipline, and even when you don't want to do it, you have to do it. Even when you don't feel like it today, you have to do it. So just
I'll be honest with you. Today was one of them days I did not feel like it, but again, it was. But you were going to do it no matter what. Unless I got the flu, I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
and I'm glad I did because I love the conversation.
Yeah, and then at the end, sometimes you just feel so much better. Sometimes it's just getting into it. But I think a community is perfect. I'm grateful that my husband is also artistic and creative as well, because we both have our days where, and luckily we're not both in having those days at the same time. But there are some days where he's like, I just don't. I'm not feeling it, and I'm the one that's like, we can do this. You can do it. Yes. You got it. And then there are days where I'm like, nobody wants to read this script. Nobody cares. And he's like, no, somebody wants to read it. Somebody's gonna love it. And I'm just like, you're right. Okay, I got it. I can do it. So it's good. It's good to have the right people around you and surrounding yourself with people who actually do what you do, because they're gonna hold you up, and there are gonna be times where they're gonna need you to hold them up. And
yeah, because I've got a few friends of mine that were like, okay, if you make it really big first, you'll pull me, and if I do it, I'll pull you with me.
Yeah. You need that. You need to know people. You need to. How else are you going to get these interviews unless you know people? Unless you get to know people. How else am I going to get my scripts made unless I get to know actors and get to know other writers and producers? So as much of it as, even though a lot of it is kind of like a solo act, so much of it involves other people. So you have to build these relationships, and people keep you going.
So we talked a lot about the sacrifice side and that. Let's flip the script and go the other way. What are a few wow moments for you?
Wow moments, I'd say, honestly, moving to Los Angeles has been a wow moment for me. I'm originally.
Is it everything you thought?
No and yes. I don't even know what I thought. I mean, sometimes you just don't even know what you were thinking. You were just like, I need to go to this
at least
place.
The traffic probably wasn't a big thing since it's the same.
Actually, I'm not even from Atlanta. I'm originally from Florida. I'm from a very small town in Florida. It's Oakland, Florida. It's like maybe 20 minutes from Disney. So it's outside. It's like a small town. Yeah, it's a small town outside of Orlando. So
everywhere you go, there's going to be traffic.
Yeah, pretty much traffic is just my life. So it wasn't until after college that I moved to Atlanta. But I think the wow moment for me was moving to Los Angeles, because I don't think I ever thought about moving to LA until I started to learn more about the industry in college, and everybody would say, "Oh, you got to move to New York, or you got to move to LA, or you got to move to Atlanta." And at the time, Atlanta felt like a more realistic and affordable an affordable transition for us. So we moved to Atlanta, and it was for a year. We moved there for a year, but while we were there, soon as we moved there, the pandemic hit. So while I didn't get to really experience Atlanta the way I wanted to, because the whole time I was there, we were locked in. But then just in the process of doing more research and deciding we were going to move to LA, we rented a U-Haul and we drove to LA ourselves with all our stuff in the truck, our car latched to the U-Haul truck. So just that drive on its own was just a eye-opening experience, because it's like, I'm going to this place. It's more expensive in this place. This isn't a place I can go and kind of play around. I have to be serious about what I'm doing. So being in LA has just been, it's been a wow factor for me, because I've met so many people here. I was just at an event the other day, and I was right next to Issa Rae, and I was like, this would have never happened if I was in Florida. Like I probably would have seen her somewhere, but the fact that I got to like literally be in front of her and just say hi, it was just like, wow, I'm in the space with people I've seen on TV since I was a kid, and I'm getting to meet people. I'm getting to shake hands with people, and I've just been in awe of how normal everybody feels. Because when you see people on TV, you just,
they're like you and I. People just don't realize that.
You don't realize it. You think people on TV are just stars, and there's this otherworldly thing about them, and then when you meet them in person, you're like, oh, she says hi, just like me. So I think that's been the biggest wow factor, is just kind of running into people that you used to see on TV and actually getting to have a conversation with them, and all of a sudden your dream starts to just feel more like something real. You can actually it feels more real.
That's like us. We've had so many people on our show that we never imagine. I mean, we've had your Randy Travis, Sarah Evans, Lee Bryce, Ed Asner before he passed away, and so many people at the top levels. And we're just sitting here like, we never imagined doing all this, and yet here we are.
Yeah, it's almost, it doesn't even feel real until like it happens, and you're like, I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the thing I said I was going to do. It doesn't always look maybe the way you imagined, or or whatever that thing is you imagined, but just kind of being able to get to a space where, oh, this started as just an idea, and it was just a thought. It was just, oh, let's start a podcast. It was like, oh, let's move to LA. And then when you actually do the thing and you start to see the fruits of your labor, it's so rewarding. And honestly, it's really what keeps you going. It's like those little ounces of rewards just keep, oh, I'm on the right track. Oh, I should keep doing this. Oh, let's talk to this person. It's, oh, let me meet this person. The more you accomplish, the bigger your ideas become.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about your episode of Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta was so much fun to shoot. It's been a dream project. I remember when it first came out, because the show is in a similar, I guess, tone and genre that I write in. So I was already a fan of the show. And the first time I saw the show, I was upset I didn't write it myself. I was like, I wish I would have came up with this idea. And then, I never saw myself on the show, because it seems so far away. It seems so just distant. It's like one of those things where you just dream about, but you're like, I'm not gonna get on that. And then it wasn't until I actually moved to LA, and I was still getting auditions from Atlanta projects because it shoots in Atlanta. And the audition process, once the audition came in, I was already psyched because I was like, whoa, I got an audition for Atlanta.
Yeah.
That was the win for me already. I wasn't even thinking about getting the role because they tell actors like don't go into it thinking you got the role. Don't go into it, with this anxiety of wanting. Just go in and be yourself and just do the part, do the work, and then if the work resonates with them, they'll pick you. But when I was reading the script, I just felt like the character was so me. So I was like, I feel like this is me, but I'm probably not gonna get it. I'm just gonna audition and just throw it away. So after I auditioned for it and I got the call that I booked the role, I had to go back to Atlanta to shoot. Oddly enough, I moved to LA, and then the first year being in LA, I had to go back to Atlanta like 4 times.
That's crazy. Wow.
4 times to shoot. So I was like, I was barely working while I was there, and now that I'm not there, I'm always working there.
That's crazy.
But working on that project was so much fun. It felt like everyone was just so comfortable doing whatever their job was. There was this peaceful type of energy on set, kind of the way the show feels, how everybody's kind of cool and collected. That's how it feels on set. It feels like everyone is so comfortable in their roles and in the parts that they're playing. Everyone is so chill. Everyone feels happy to be there. There was just such good energy on that set, and it was honestly one of the best sets I've ever been on because I just felt so welcomed. Even though I had I played a small part in that first episode, it just felt like I wasn't treated like a side character. I was treated like someone who was important, someone who mattered. And to actually have scenes where I got to share dialogue with Donald Glover and Zazie Beetz and even Lakeith Stanfield, I had a scene with him where I get to talk to him. So I'm like, I'm in the scene with like all the heavy hitters right now. So like I feel good about this. So yeah, it was honestly a dream come true without me even realizing it. And being on set almost felt a little weird because I was like, why does this feel so easy? Why does everybody feel so chill? Everybody just felt like it was such a peaceful set. That's the only way I know how to put it. It didn't feel chaotic or like people were rushing. Nothing felt rushed. It felt like everybody was taking their time and just trying to do their best work. And you appreciate that as an actor because there are some sets where you are in and out and the time matters and they're like, you've got about 30 minutes and hair and makeup and you're like constantly like on the go. But there was just so much time to kind of meditate and sit and talk to Zazie Beetz. Like we sat and talked about working out and workout classes, just random conversations we had that just made me feel like, there isn't any ego on this set, It felt like everybody was just welcoming and just laid back and cool.
Yeah, we've talked with some people on different sitcoms where they say you'd come in that morning and they'd hand you the script. Here's your lines, and you have to know it in 1 hour.
Sitcoms are insane. They're so fast paced, and sometimes even while you're filming a scene, they're changing the lines, or they're like, "Oh, we're switching this, and you just did it."
Like, I just learned this.
Yeah. Like, I want to know it well, but like with sitcoms, it is very, very fast paced, and it's because they're just trying to like sitcoms. Sometimes they're doing 20 episodes a season, so they have to account for all that time. But something like Atlanta, it's just 10 episodes, and they kind of film it like a drama where they just can take a little bit more time. But the real comedy sets, they are no joke.
And like, I didn't know this, but like, if I'm not mistaken, like Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, all the shows like that have filmed like 4 or 5 times in one day. So you could literally keep winning and be there all day.
Wow. I didn't know that about
like
Jeopardy.
Every week, like we would see it. It's like,
you
keep winning, you're pretty much going to be there all day. And can you imagine how hard that can be for you when you start winning a lot?
Trust me, just people don't realize how exhausting it is just being on camera. Like you're trying to put on somewhat of a performance, and just performing is difficult. Just talking for 30 minutes is difficult. It's like especially if you don't talk long-winded all the time. So a game like Jeopardy, I can only imagine, because there is a performance aspect to it. Like, you have to have this high energy, and you've got to be, just giddy all the time. And that's exhausting. That at the end of it, I'm sure they're like, oh, another game. Okay. All right. I'm ready.
And welcome to the show, Kyle.
Yes.
And
thanks,
thank you,
Kyle.
But as you know, a lot of people, they see you, but they don't see the team behind you, the village, so to speak.
Oh, yes.
In our opinion,
important.
the team never gets any love. But on
don't.
our show, they get love. So take a few moments and tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
I'll start with my husband. He's my creative partner, Daniel Augustin. We work a lot together. And he's one of the main people that really, really pushes me on a day-to-day basis. A lot of, like, my very first web series was created because I was auditioning for a lot of other web series or other projects, and I wasn't really getting picked. And so I said, I'm going to write my own web series, and I'm going to perform in it. And he was supportive enough to say, oh, I know how to shoot, so I'll film it and edit it for you. So little things like that, just kind of helping fill in the spaces where maybe I don't have them. My publicist, who set this up for me, like,
we love them.
She's been so helpful in just helping me learn how to brand myself and just communicating with me about the opportunities that are kind of at my disposal and how to kind of communicate those to the world. Because a lot of times as an actor, we just want to be creative. We just want to do the fun stuff.
That's why teams are more important, so you can do what you do.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about PR or doing interviews until maybe 6 months ago, so as you evolve in your career, you start to learn, if I want to continue to do this, if I want to make a living off of this, I have to promote myself, I have to market myself. And I didn't major in marketing, but there are so many people out there that kind of specialize in things. So when you can meet someone who is like, I specialize in marketing, grab that person by the hand and say, okay, how can you help me take my brand to the next level? Agents and managers, they are so helpful in the process. I think as actors, we have to not lean on them and expect them to do all the work, because a lot of times actors will just sit around and wait for auditions. But you can be out there building your own connections. You can be out there getting to know casting directors on your own, getting to know writers on your own. So not making it so much about just the team, but knowing how to lean on your team when they can help, but also knowing how you can help your team. And just showing up and being ready and being prepared and doing the work and trying to get better at it is something that's going to
team can make or break you.
Oh, trust me. and and I think you also have to learn when it's time to move on from a particular team. Like when I was in Florida, I had a Florida agent and I had a Florida manager, and that rep was good for that location. But now that I'm in Los Angeles,
and for that moment, so you kind of have to know when it's like, it's not a bad thing to I wouldn't even say outgrow people, because but it's not a bad thing to. You have to always ask, can they take me to that next level?
Exactly.
And again, you have to be honest about it, because sometimes you might love this person, but because of where they're at with their business, they might not be trying to go to that level where they can take you to that level. So you have to be honest, and they have to be honest, where you can say, you know what, I'm trying to get to this next level, and this team can help me go there. Yeah.
And that just comes with being more intentional about where it is you're trying to go, and constantly setting those goals and knowing that, okay, I'm going to LA, which means the playing field is different. I have to get an agent in LA. I have to get a manager in LA. I have to get, people who I can work with in LA that know the lay of the land here, because it's just different than in Florida. And my Florida agent just doesn't have the connections. You know, my Florida agent isn't out here versus my
Yeah.
LA agent is having lunch with casting directors in LA, or they're best friends with that showrunner that's writing the show that you want to be on. So sometimes it's just about being intentional and knowing exactly what it is you want and being realistic about what it's going to take to accomplish those things.
Love that. Now, speaking of teams, we have a third co-host, as I told you earlier, our little 10-year-old.
Yeah,
Sandy's going to go get him.
I will get him.
So while she's getting him, what's kind of next for you?
Next, right now, I just wrapped a series, Cold and Windy. So during that time, I didn't really have a lot of time to write because we shot 8 episodes in 6 weeks, which is a lot, and it was a drama. So far, I've been taking a lot of time to write. And previously, I've been writing a lot of web series and short films, but I really want to move to the next level and be intentional about what I want to create next. And I really want to do features. And I've been wanting to do features for a while. So I'm actually writing a feature right now that I plan to produce and also star in as well. I'm co-writing it with a friend who wrote a short film I was in previously. So she's helping me write because she's written features before. So we're kind of teaming up to produce that. So that's next on my plate. And episodic season is coming up for actors. So that's like actors kind of have seasons in the year where, you know, auditions are kind of, you know, heavier, like during pilot season, that's kind of like January to like March. So there are like different seasons of the year where you're auditioning more than not. And the summer is always a little slower. So I like to take, you know, the summertime to do like my heavy writing. So that's next up for me, hopefully, to produce this feature, because I do feel like that's the next step for me. I've done series and I've done short films, but to be able to carry a feature film is something that I'm really excited about. So hopefully sometime next year it'll be in production.
That's awesome.
Okay, hi, Sh'Kia. So what's your food?
Hi. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Say that again?
I said, what's your favorite food?
Favorite food or film?
Food.
Food.
Yep, food.
I love tacos.
I'm
a Taco Tuesday girl. I'm a Taco Wednesday,
Any
Thursday,
day,
Friday girl. I'm getting tacos tonight. I just found out about the Grove in LA, and they have like this great taco place that I went to before, and they have like frozen drinks. I love like frozen, especially in LA. It's like 100 degrees right now, so anything frozen, I will drink it. If it's frozen water, I will drink it.
Because what's yours?
Mine is pizza.
Oh, okay. I love pizza too. Pizza is
He'd eat it all day long if we gave it to him.
Pizza is a hard second. It's a hard second for me. I'm down with pizza.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so what's your TV show?
I am really okay. It's probably a given. Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon is out right now, but that I'm gonna save that because that's kind of like an obvious. I'm really loving Hacks right now. I just think it's just a great show, and it's got this strong balance between like comedy and drama. Like the jokes hit hard, but the drama is like so realistic, and I think it really touches on the life of an artist, and I think it puts a strong emphasis on what it really looks like to age in the industry, because people don't really talk about that enough, and how as you get older, how do you grow in this industry and not feel like you need to quit just because you're not 22, you know? How do you continue when you're in your 50s, when you're in your 60s? Cicely Tyson hit 100 and she's still doing monologues.
Well, look at Betty White. She was about to hit 100 before she passed, but she was still in it.
Yes, I'm like, I want to be like that. So it's great to see those examples because we don't have a lot of them.
Yep. And
so my favorite show is Spongebob.
Oh man, I love that was my favorite cartoon when I was a kid. I loved. Do you have a favorite episode?
The favorite episode? Probably the pizza delivery one.
I love the episode where it's an older episode, but SpongeBob I don't know what happens, but like he goes to visit Sandy in like her like bubble,
Yeah.
and he starts to
I remember that one.
like dehydrate and like turn into an actual
Yeah. That's the first episode, right? Yeah.
It might be, but it makes me cry every time I see it. I have one of the clips on my phone, and I have like a funny clips on my phone. So like whenever I'm like just bored or having like a dull day, I'll go watch funny clips, and that's one of them where he's just like dying for water.
All right.
Okay, so what's your movie?
Ooh, favorite movie. It's an older movie, but I'd have to say Brown Sugar with Sanaa Lathan and Taye Diggs. That's always been my favorite movie since I was a kid. I love how they combine like music and romance, and that film has been like a dream film for me. Like that's the type of role I would want to play, the role Sanaa plays, because I love films that kind of infuse all forms of the arts. You know, it's not just a romance or a girl trying to fall in love. It's a girl who's a DJ. It's a girl who's a musician. It's a girl who's artistic. So I love films like that just kind of fuse all the arts together.
And what's yours?
Mine is The Minions.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Is it animated? Is it an animated?
Yeah, they got the Minions, Minions 2, Despicable Me, Despicable Me 2.
Oh, okay, yes.
With the little Minions
I've
thing.
I've seen the Despicable one. Those are good. Those are funny too.
Right.
Bye, thanks.
Nice meeting you. I love it.
Yeah, he loves to be a part of it.
That's amazing. That's good though. It's good that he wants to be involved, because not all kids don't want to be involved. Some kids just want to play video games and just hang out. So the fact that he wants to do it, you know, he'll probably have his own show one day.
That's his plan.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
We're planning on starting a little podcast for him next year called Chit Chat with Chris.
Oh, I love it. I love
we're trying
it.
to
He's
train
so
him a little bit
about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to chit chat with Chris, so let me know.
All right, we will.
And it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna play into. He turns 11 in January, so it'll be after that.
Yeah.
So it's gonna play into his age. So we're gonna make it where it's 11 minutes.
Oh,
So when it's so then when he's 12, we'll probably make it 12 minutes.
I like that.
And until he feels like he can just do 30 minutes or 15 minutes. You know?
Oh my God, that's such a great way to build up. I don't have kids yet, but I'm like gonna steal that idea. So good.
Got to build them up, because you don't want to just throw them to the wolves.
Yeah, you don't. And the sooner they start learning, the better. Like I'm grateful that as a kid I was in band and I was doing all these creative things, because you really do just build your confidence as a kid when you just start doing creative things earlier. You kind of you trust yourself more when you can like hone your own creative voice and your own creative style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could co-star with any actor or actress, who would it be, and what role would you want to play?
Oh, I told you I'm loving Hacks right now. So I have this vision. I'd love to be Hannah Einbinder's scene partner. I love her. I think her energy is amazing. And I feel like her humor, I just get her humor. And I would just love if like season 3, she's like in the writer's room and I'm like one of the writers in the room, and we become like best friends. Like that's what I want. I want us to become best friends, and I want us to have a co-written episode together. So like we're kind of going back and forth about how or what the episode should be like. So that's like my dream. I'm just gonna manifest that so that we can try to make this happen.
So where do you want to be in the next 5 years?
Oh, in the next 5 years, I would love to be doing what I'm already doing, but on a higher scale.
Yeah.
I would love to be producing and writing TV shows for bigger networks. I love HBO. I love Apple. I love Hulu. I love ABC, FX. So I would love to have my own show on one of these networks, kind of how Donald Glover and Issa Rae and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, how they have their own shows. I'd love for that to be my 5-year trajectory, and also films. I really want to produce films. I really want to star in films, but I'm writing 2 features right now. One of them I don't even plan to star in. It's just kind of a story that's inspired by my childhood, and I can already see another actress that I think would be great for it. But I just want to be able to have more support, because right now I'm kind of writing and producing on my own. And I do get acting jobs that are bigger, but as a writer, I'm kind of producing my own things. I'm kind of, fundraising for opportunities. So it would be great to just have the support of heavy hitters like HBO, who can really, really help you bring your idea to life on a bigger scale, and with all the grandiose ideas you have. Because when you're producing on your own, you're kind of like, I can't afford that, so let's do this.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to just have a Game of Thrones moment where it's just like, I can have dragons.
You can do anything you want, right?
Yes. So that's the dream, to be able to just kind of not be stifled. So I mean, you're always stifled by budget, even Game of Thrones, but for it to not be the number one thing all the time.
Absolutely.
So that's the goal for me.
Where they just say, be creative, go.
Yeah. What do you want? What do you want to do? It's like, oh wow, thank you. Dragons. I want dragons.
Yeah.
That's like, for us, one of our ultimate goals would be where the Chris and Sandy show becomes maybe the first married daytime TV interview show.
Oh, that is a goal.
As far as I know, there's like no daytime interview shows that you watch that are married couples. They're always.
I don't think so. That would be. I'd watch that, and I love that idea, because being married, I feel like everything I see on TV is about singles. It's about the single girl or the bachelor, and it's always about dating stories. But you don't see enough examples on TV about people who are happily married and trying to make it work, or who are making it work. So I feel like having those examples on television is so important, and it's something I'm constantly looking for myself. Like, how do I find examples of people who are doing what I'm doing, and not just, single and out there dating and on apps? And I'm like, that's not my life. I can't really relate to dating apps right now, because I'm not on dating apps. But I'd love to know how you guys handle arguments, or how you guys figure out what's for dinner tonight, because that's like such a thing all the time. So I hope that idea comes to life. I'm sure it will.
I got on our wall.
Yes.
Where it says Emmy winning the Chris and Sandy show.
Oh, I love it.
Because again, if you're going to dream, you might as well dream big.
Dream big, as big as you can, because you're more likely to make it. I read a quote the other day that said, no one ever hit a target they didn't aim for. Like, you don't just hit targets by accident. People set intentions. I'm sure basketball players before the season are like, we are trying to win the finals. Yeah. And there's an intention set. And when you set the intention, you know how hard you have to work in order to reach that goal. I feel like intention is just the word of the year. It's like, the more intentional you are, the more specific you are about your goals, I think the easier it is to see it and aim for that target,
Most definitely. Because so let's look 15 years down the road, and let's say that you're a success on a grand scale, whatever that looks like for you. You're there. Mm-hmm. What do you hope along that journey you never forget?
I hope I never forget that I love doing this. I hope I never forget that even as a little girl, when I wasn't getting paid for it, when no one cared when I was singing in the church choir, I hope I remember those moments, and remember that even though I have money, even though I have success, even though I have all these awards or whatever the case may be, I always remember that this is something I love doing. This is something I'm passionate about. This is something I can't see myself doing anything else, and that as long as I still have that love there, I'll always have the best intentions for myself and the people around me. I'll always put out work that's honest. I'll always be authentic. I'll always be grounded. I'll always be centered in my purpose, and I won't let all these things that everybody wants get to my head. It'll be like, oh, I'm living my dreams, and I love doing this. And as long as the love is there, I'm gonna nurture this craft in the best way. And it won't be for selfish reasons. It won't be for the notoriety, because even as a kid, I was singing in the church choir like it was the Grammys. Like I would rehearse like crazy. Like church on Sunday, I have this solo. It's very important to me. There's only 10 people at church, but I don't care. This song matters. And I want to always keep that with me, knowing that I love it and I'm going to do it even if there isn't anyone clapping. I'll do it at home. I'll do it on the street. I'll do it on the subway. I just want to know that and remind myself that this is something I actually love to do.
Love that.
What are some things that inspire you?
Oh, some things that inspire me. I think other people inspire me a lot. Watching other people live out their dreams, whatever that dream is, passionately, really inspires me to do what I'm doing. So even if it's someone who's a doctor, when I have friends in different fields. So even my friend who's a teacher, and she's inspired by her students, or she's inspired by putting together this cool lesson plan, like that inspires me. Like, oh wow, she loves what she's doing. She loves teaching those kids. She loves making an impact on these students, and I want to be able to have that same love as well. I want to be able to express my love for what it is I do in the same way. Art inspires me. Other shows inspire me. Watching other people do what they love, especially TV shows when they are just so ambitious. They really just they kind of just open up a world of possibilities in my head, and I just kind of allow myself to creatively be free when I can see other people doing the same thing. So people like you, Chris and Sandy, the way even having this conversation with you has inspired me, and even you talking about putting your Emmy on the wall, like those are little sayings like that inspire me. Like I have my vision board up as well. So I'm like, oh, I those things inspire me every single day. So I love talking to people like you two who are so aspirational and dream big, because it makes me feel like I'm not crazy over here dreaming as big as I dream sometimes. It's good to know that there are other people out there doing the same thing and having these conversations.
I'm 50, I just turned 51 and still have the big dreams, because a lot of people my age, they've lost it.
Yeah. And you can't give up on your dreams. I want to be 51 and still have big dreams. I don't want to feel like, oh, I've made it, or oh, it's too late, or oh, this. There are so many people who I guess they say like, oh, this is your second act in life, where oh, you accomplished these things and now you're at this stage. Because a lot of people don't think beyond like, oh, I want to accomplish this thing, but once you accomplish this thing, do you stop? No, your goals evolve and they get bigger. Yeah, you keep going. So it's amazing. It's been amazing talking to you two, because I feel like there are other people out there who dream is big, and have these amazing goals that are so possible. We just have to put in the work every single day. Yep. That's another thing I want to remind myself is, even though this is a dream, it's also a job. It's a job, and you have to mine it like a job. You got to work it like a job. If you go to work, 9 to 5 every day, you're working 8 hours on this person's job. So you got to put in those 8 hours on your job, especially if you don't if you don't have any other jobs, it's like, oh, how can I maximize on expanding my career and putting in those 8 hours for myself?
Yeah.
That's right. And what would you like your legacy to be? What would you ultimately like to be known and remembered for?
I'd like to be known and remembered as someone who was able to create their own life. And I think a lot of times we're just living life. We're just kind of going day by day. But if you really set the goals, you can actually start to look at your life and say, I did this. I put this together. I created a son. I created a daughter. I created the opportunities to buy this house. I created a healthy environment to have a healthy marriage. Like, you start to look at your life and say, oh, this is all because I put in the work to create and make all these things. And I'm actually happy with my life. And I think that's what it all boils down to, being an artist. I don't think being an artist is about the fame or about the money or the awards. I think it's really about being able to create a life that you love and a life that you're happy living and a life that makes you feel free and artistic and a life that just has, freedom, to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. If you want to go on that weekend trip or that day trip with your family, you have the freedom to do that and create loving and happy experiences with your family. Like, that's what I want to be remembered for.
Love that. So as we close out here, what advice would you give someone who wants to do what you do?
I'd say learn as much as you can. Learn as much as you can. Read all the books. I'm not going to say read all the books, because not all books are created equally, but research and figure out what books are important to read. Listening to podcasts like the Chris and Sandy show are important, because you learn so much by just listening to other people talk about their careers and talk about their paths, even if it's not in acting, even if it's someone who's a surfer. It's like you can learn so much from someone in just a different career path. So I'd say learn as much as possible and surround yourself with people who are doing exactly what you want to do. And be good to people. Be a good person. Be a nice person, and surround yourself with people who are going to be good to you as well. And if you,
because they say that the person that you stomp on to go up will be there when you're coming down.
Oh, trust me. Yeah, they will. You'll have to see everybody again. So especially in entertainment, the world is so small. So you meet one person in your acting class and you think they're not that good, or you don't know them that well, and then a year later they're the star of a TV show that you're on, or they're your co-star, or they're your director, and you've got to work with
or you have to go into an audition of someone you put down 2-3 years ago, and they're the person that makes the decision.
Yeah. And it happens more times than not, because the world is smaller than we think. Especially when you're in a certain field, the world gets smaller and smaller when you realize, oh, I know there's a lot of people here, but there's not that many people in comparison to all the people in the world.
So tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Sh'Kia Augustin. That's SHKIA AUGUSTIN. I'm on Twitter at Kia Augustin. I don't really tweet that much. I'm more of like a Twitter watcher. So like I watch tweets and I like to laugh at tweets. And when shows are like going live, I like to keep up with like the tweets. But I'm on there.
I love it. We really enjoyed having you on the show. And we definitely look forward to having you back.
We do.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here. You two were great hosts, and I feel like I learned so much just being here. And it's been an amazing opportunity to sit with you two.
Well, we appreciate it.
We appreciate that
you
so much. You were a great guest. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate you too. You too.